Their backs are against the wall. Look at the automakers. The deals that the unions have proposed to the automakers. I saw an analysis of Ford, where Ford would go, if you just did a pro forma and went back the last couple of years, they would have gone from 30 billion of profits to minus 17 billion of losses. So that's a $47 billion swing in the Ford P&L.
That at the same time that the auto companies are facing what you'd expect to be reduced demand because no one can afford a car payment at these higher interest rates, the unions are going on strike demanding
I think this is existential.
36% higher wages for a 4-day work week. How does this work?
4-day work week.
Do you buy the Times piece that this UAW regional director says workers at Tesla are starting to think about organizing, or is that just self-serving union commentary?
And today, if we're going to have a turn, there's a negative piece by Barclays about Tesla talking about a slowdown drive to potential missing quarters.
One of the most insane things I've ever seen happen is occurring right now in the United States. This is going to go down as one of the all-time examples of f*** around, find out. The United Automakers Union is doing its absolute best to accelerate the bankruptcy of the Detroit 3 automakers, Ford, GM and Stellantis. I seriously can't believe what I'm seeing. Yet here we are. And while the shit's currently hitting the fan in Detroit, and that's an understatement, opinions are seriously divided over Tesla Q3 delivery numbers, some predicting an absolute catastrophe and others a huge blowout and even a record. What the hell? We got lots to discuss. Don't forget, if you guys would like to access exclusive content, early access, loads of perks, my Tesla valuation model and plenty more, check the links in the pinned comment. It's a great way to support the channel, and by support the channel I mean provide me more resources to buy more Tesla stock. I don't need the money, but I'll certainly take it. The question is, do you want the extra content? A few hours ago, I posted yet another Patreon exclusive video. It's now almost 350 in the archive. The topic, funnily enough, very closely tied to today's video. A vapid sock puppet of the United Auto Workers Union in the Democratic Party being exposed for her lack of integrity, honesty, and brazen virtue signaling.
Their backs are against the wall. Look at the automakers. The deals that the unions have proposed to the automakers. I saw an analysis of Ford, where Ford would go, if you just did a pro forma and went back the last couple of years, they would have gone from 30 billion of profits to minus 17 billion of losses. So that's a $47 billion swing in the Ford P&L.
Now maybe you guys can help me out. I'm not very intelligent and I'm very bad with numbers. So can somebody explain to me in the comments below, would losing $17 billion in a single year be sustainable? If the answer is no, what would the alternative be to losing $17 billion in a year? I guess you'd file for bankruptcy, right? Because there's no point to continue operating if you're facing a $17 billion loss in a single year. Am I missing something here? What the hell is this? I think someone's hacked me. I don't know what's going on my screen right now. Let's read it anyway. Step 1, demand a 40% raise. Step 2, get a 100% pay cut because the company you work for goes bankrupt because it could not afford to pay you an extra 40%. Rest in peace. Something to do with the UAW and striking workers. I don't think there's any connection. Let's move on.
The only way they overcome that is with more expensive cars, which, Jason, to your point, means that those cars are not going to get sold.
You'll have to forgive me once again. I'm not very smart. So let me just think through this out loud. We just heard about $17 billion in annual losses just as a result of salary increases. That's bad, right? But if in addition, this company will attempt to increase the price of their products to make up for some of those losses, and as a result, no one buys the products, and they're already going to lose $17 billion due to the higher employee expenses. And instead of making some of that money up by selling much more expensive vehicles, no one buys their vehicles, period. Wouldn't that then mean that they lose way more than $17 billion because they're not even selling vehicles that previously they were able to sell? Meaning they will sustain absolutely financially catastrophic losses. And we're talking about like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 billion plus dollar losses in a single year. That doesn't sound very good. GM filed for bankruptcy after far lower losses than that.
I do think that you're going to just have a little bit of belt tightening in the consumer.
I think this is interesting. I think, Chamath, you're right that at the same time that the auto companies are facing what you'd expect to be reduced demand because no one can afford a car payment at these higher interest rates, the unions are going on strike demanding
I think this is existential.
36% higher wages for a 4-day work week. How does this work?
4-day work week.
Jason's face says it all. 4-day work week? Are you fucking kidding? If you demand a 4-day work week, they're going to be rewarded with a 0-day work week and termination. Just to be crystal clear, When Chamath says this is existential, he means what he says. And what he says, existential, this pertains to the ability of these companies to continue to exist, aka they're fucked, aka this will send the Detroit 3 automakers into bankruptcy. I still cannot believe what I'm seeing happen in real time. And again, I've been covering this in great detail on Patreon and on X. Join both platforms with the links below if you don't want to miss any of the drama. I actually cannot believe what I'm seeing. As I've said in the past, the UAW, if they actually gave a fuck about their members instead of just aiming to appear to care, big difference, they would actually be negotiating lower salaries, lower wages, lower benefits, so that these companies, instead of having to lay off tens of thousands of people and then ultimately go bankrupt anyway, could keep these employees on for longer and keep paying them slightly less for longer and delay their inevitable bankruptcies a few years. This is crazy.
I think that the labor deal is an existential risk to the unionized auto industry in America. And I'm not opining on whether this deal should or should not happen. I'm just making an observation. If the deal as announced happens and you sensitize Stellantis, GM, and Ford's P&L to these new terms, and then you compare that against non-unionized, highly automated organizations like Tesla and Rivian, it's going to be very difficult for the established auto industry to survive.
Right.
Translation, they're fucked. Although they're already fucked. It's just they're going to get fucked even harder and faster.
And then if you'd layer on top of it 7, 8, 9% consumer lending rates for new cars, forget about it.
And yet the Fed forecast at the same meeting they were being hawkish about rates, they also said that they were expecting unemployment next year to be 4.1%, down from their previous expectation of 4.5%. And they forecast that economic growth would be higher. So I just don't understand how these countervailing forces aren't going to create so much stress in the economy that something breaks.
And these idiot unions, honestly, their timing is so dumb, whether it's the ones, in Hollywood or this car strike, while they're shutting down
it's
their
great.
plants.
It's great for Tesla. I mean, it's giving Tesla the entire U.S. auto market.
Chamath's on the money. This is giving Tesla the entire US auto market. And to Jason's point about this being the worst time to be striking, not just for auto workers, I mean, bro, he's right, but Hollywood as well. These fucking idiots. A huge AI disruption is currently taking place. Screenwriters going to get ChatGPT'd. Animators are going to get mid-journeyed. Storyboarders. You guys get the point. The two worst possible times for these industries, automotive and the world of Hollywood, to be striking right fucking now. How's it go? Around, find out. They most certainly will.
Yeah, Tesla is lowering the price. When I bought my Model Y long range, I think I paid $72 for it. The old price on this chart says $66. That car is now $53. That's down 20%, a $13,000 savings. The Model Y long range, I think, is the greatest vehicle ever made.
I paid $57, I think, for my Model Y long range.
Uh-huh.
I paid $57. I paid this price for the Model Y Performance.
Uh-huh.
The best car. And yeah, that'll be a $40,000 car in the next 3 years.
Well, and I looked at it, and speaking of austerity measures, I was like, I have a Model X. Do I get another Model X? I think I'll just go with the Model Y, because the Model X is, 50% more, and I just prefer the Model Y.
I think this labor deal is going to put tremendous pressure on these established auto OEMs.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
China is now the world's largest exporter, from what I understand. That just happened. They work, I looked it up, 58 to 64 hours a week, factory workers. The U.S. factory workers want to work 32 hours a week. They want a 4-day work week. I mean, I don't understand the timing of these unions. I mean, they're just going to move these factories to Mexico or...
I think it's reasonable for the unions to ask for as much as possible on behalf of their members. That's like obvious and good, because meaning if you're collecting fees from those folks and you're doing a good job on their behalf, your job is to ask for as much as possible. I get that. Where I see the breakdown is that it just doesn't seem like there's enough numeracy between them and the companies that they're negotiating against to really sit down and look at what the impact of this is, because you may get a short-term labor deal that you can celebrate, but it may actually destroy that union member's pension.
Yes.
Bingo. Actions have consequences. Over the short term, this might look like a win for the union members, but when they end up with a 100% pay decrease and the pensions they're supposedly getting during these negotiations are unable to be paid because the companies they previously worked for and then got fired from have gone bankrupt, ain't going to look like such a great deal then, is it?
It may destroy the company.
And this is my concern, is that then that has to get bailed out by the US taxpayer. And once it happens in one industry, it's going to be very difficult to actually not do it in other industries. And the thing that needs to be understood is the risk that it puts on those kinds of tail outcomes. And I think that that's not well discussed. Nobody in the media is really talking about it. They make it a moral issue of like, what does the CEO pay versus what is the ratio
The
of the
multiple,
CEO? And yeah, sure.
Right.
Look, that's an important issue at some level. But if, for example, like you have US senators blathering on about how they'll wear a suit and not look like a homeless bum if this deal happens and that. And it's like, well, that's not what you should be saying. What you should be saying is, my team has done a financial analysis and here's what it shows.
Right.
And they're not saying that. This is crazy.
What you're saying is that the negotiation and also the political dimension of this have become completely untethered from economic realities.
Yes.
Well said, David Sachs. The guy has a great way with words. This is identical, and I mean identical, to the posturing you see from many politicians trying to pander to voters. Let's just randomly pick a hypothetical example that didn't actually occur in reality, because nothing could possibly be that insane. Just imagine that you want to pander to a certain demographic of voters in a certain area, and you decide, hey, guess what, guys? Everyone in this place should be entitled to millions of dollars of reparations for things that happened to people in the past, by people in the past, that have nothing to do with anyone in the present, and also are financially impossible to do. But hey, I'm going to tell you that we're demanding these things because then you're going to vote for me. So, wait, what? Anyway, moving on.
They are negotiating in the rearview mirror. They basically talked about whatever billions of dollars in profits the companies previously had during the ZERP environment, during the heyday. And yeah, it's just timing's off.
The timing is off in terms of economic realities, but the timing makes a lot of sense if you understand what's recently occurred at the UAW. They have a new president, Sean Fain, and much like any good politician, he's currently pandering to his voters, aka union members, trying to curry favour with absolutely asinine demands that many of the union members will think, yeah, that's right, 4-day work week, 40% pay increase, f*** these guys, their CEO gets paid more than I'll make in my lifetime, that's bullshit. Yeah, I'm striking. Sounds good on paper. I'm sure many of the union members right now are like, yeah, Sean, what a legend. This guy rocks. I suspect they'll have changed their tune a few years from now when they're no longer employed.
Time for Jim and Stop Trading.
You know, sometimes, Carl, our colleague David Faber would say, what's the key to this market? And today, if we're going to have a turn, there's a negative piece by Barclays about Tesla, talking about a slowdown drive to potential missing quarters. If Tesla is able to turn, then I believe we could have a substantial rally, because this is a very negative piece.
Tesla's next quarterly results will certainly be interesting, given the shutdowns for the refreshed Model 3, which Tesla told us ahead of time would be happening. Who knows where the numbers will come in and how Wall Street and many investors will react. Very mixed opinions on this one. A post from Gary Black on X today. EV Volumes, a credible third-party trade source, has posted a Tesla 3Q delivery estimate of 480,000 versus 466 in Q2, with detail below. This estimate is much higher than Troy Teslike and my own Q3 delivery estimates, and reflects no change in China for Q3 versus Q2, which is at odds with China weekly insurance registrations data. These estimates broken down by region: North America, Europe, China, and rest of world. We have Q3 2022 a year ago, plus Q2 2023 last quarter, for comparison's sake. A quarter-over-quarter increase in North America of roughly 10,000 or so. Essentially flat in Europe, essentially flat in China, and slightly higher for rest of world. So it's worth talking about this because per the totals here, these estimates, last quarter, Tesla 466,058 vehicles delivered. If Tesla could deliver 480,104 vehicles in Q3, this would be an absolute fucking blowout result. Tesla already told us there are global shutdowns for the refreshed Model 3. They literally told us last quarter we're going to see a reduction in production because of upgrades globally. A couple of months later, Tesla unveils the refreshed Model 3. So if Tesla could pull something like this off, holy shit. Now the question is, are these estimates even close to realistic? Gary continues here with a quote from EV Volumes supporting their estimates. We expect September deliveries to reach 193,000 units, thus giving the full Q3 2023 of 480,000 units. 193,000 units is not a record, as both June and March were above 200,000 units. September 2022 at 190,000 deliveries. So we are conservatively expecting flat deliveries year over year. This is mainly because Model 3 is currently being upgraded to facelift version and production was shut down for the upgrade. So this is certainly possible, although I'd be rather surprised. The reason I'm emphasizing this, there's some serious disagreement between Wall Street consensus, general investor expectations. After all, Tesla told us there'll be shutdowns globally for upgrades, and these estimates from EV volumes. They continue. This may have had an implication on deliveries. Some more context, Gary was kind enough to share the EV volumes. The fuck? Rest in peace, X. Check that out. By the way, I wasn't even loading a page there. Bam. Let's try that again. I thought I'll keep that in because clearly still some teething problems over at X. So Gary shared the EV volumes record over the last few quarters. In Q2, they were off by 3.2%. Q1 off by 1.8%. Q4 off by a massive 8.6%. And Troy's record is better. Now, past performance doesn't indicate future performance, but it's worth sharing. The point, we have a massive divergence in opinions and expectations this quarter. I personally don't have enough insight to even attempt to guess. Also, don't really give a fuck about deliveries this quarter or next. I care about the long-term trend, not what's happening over a micro-penis length time horizon, so whatever. But the reason I mention this, often Tesla stock can react quite violently to a supposed miss and or a supposed beat. So let's just leave it there. Only a few days until we know the actual numbers anyway. It is worth pointing out that Barclays, with this supposedly very negative report, currently the most courageous, large testicled folks on Wall Street, with a whopping $260 per share price target on Tesla stock, which is almost exactly where Tesla currently is. So brave, so courageous. Jim Cramer believes that if Tesla, the stock, can rally and or the company can beat Barclays' very bearish expectations for next quarter, apparently the whole stock market will be on fire. While we're on the topic of the clackers of the Wall Street analysts covering Tesla stock, let's have a look at all the current price targets. Average price target over the next 12 months, $268.44. In other words, within 10% of Tesla, 8.7% to be exact. So brave. I wish I could sign up for a course on how to be so courageous like these Wall Street analysts. And by the way, I wouldn't troll them so hard if they'd been historically correct, as opposed to historically chasing after Tesla stock, surge after surge after surge. So I do have to give some credit here to Morgan Stanley, either great marketing and or just a little bit of courage. They're out at $400 per share. Same for Pierre Ferragu at New Street Research, $350. Likewise, Dan Green Tidal Wave catchphrase also recommended Lucid in the past, I believe Ives. Perhaps better luck than good management. But it very quickly gets to be a bit of a clown show. Remember, these are not predictions of what Tesla stock will be worth. These are estimates for what Tesla will be fairly valued at based on the underlying assumptions that each of these analysts have in their valuation model. Hopefully they all do have a model. And I'll be honest, guys, part of the reason I'm running through this right now with Tesla at a market cap of about $770 billion, we've just seen the huge, incredible progress update on the Tesla humanoid robot trained on end-to-end video. And we still have a bunch of folks on Wall Street here who, maybe a month and a half after the FSD V12 demo, which was also end-to-end video, are still sitting in the $200 range, close to where Tesla is today. At the bottom of the pile, in terms of credibility and price target, of course, everybody's favorite method actor playing the role, legitimate analyst from a legitimate research firm, Gordon Johnson at just over $24 per share, fellow clown Craig Owen at $85 per share. Shout out to Tesla being egregiously overvalued and Tesla not having anything that Toyota doesn't already have. Ryan Brinkman of JP Moron at $120 per share. Tony, I still don't understand it. I thought they were just a car company. Sakanaki at $150 per share. And the man of the moment, Dan Levy from Barclays, $260 per share. Again, how brave. For what it's worth, I can confirm my 2024 fair valuation for Tesla, which is close enough to 12 months, a little bit more. Let's just say it is significantly higher than the highest on Wall Street. Then again, I may also be significantly higher than anyone on Wall Street.
Do you buy the Times piece that this UAW regional director says workers at Tesla are starting to think about organizing, or is that just self-serving union commentary?
Now, that's a good question, isn't it? Are Tesla workers dumb enough to bite the hand that feeds? Some context might be useful. Check this out from Sawyer Merritt. Crazy stat. Here's how an employee's stock in Tesla, Ford and GM has performed over the past 10 years, assuming they received it and held onto it during that whole time. Tesla stock up almost 2,000%, GM stock down 10% and Ford stock down 28%. So a Ford or GM employee that received company stock 10 years ago would have made no money on it if they still held it today. And many Tesla employees who did receive stock a decade ago are multi-millionaires and still working, not because they need to, but because they want to.
I was talking to Dave about organizing. They didn't even talk about organizing. There are no, Tesla doesn't, what are the machines organizing? They talking to each other? Like the ones at NVIDIA?
They do have employees. They'll hire a lot more for the Cybertruck as that gets rolling.
That's a right to work state.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. Unlikely that there would be.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I just want, this is a true negative piece about numbers. And if Tesla can rally on that, then that says, you know what? We're done dumping on every single stock in this market except for the refiners.
So who knows whether or not Tesla will beat, miss, or come close to expectations for Q3 deliveries. But again, I want to emphasize, as we saw earlier, there's a huge disparity right now between some of the expert predictions on where Tesla delivery numbers will come in. Could be a bumpy ride when numbers are released a few days from now. And you really have to feel for the UAW members currently employed by GM, Ford, and Stellantis, e.g. Chrysler, in the United States. I'm not sure how many of these union members actually realise the implications of the demands being made by the UAW on their behalf actually being met, or even close to met, or even slightly met. As Chamath mentions, this really is existential. Ain't gonna end well. As I said, I thought it would be Tesla indirectly bankrupting these companies with superior products at lower prices. Turns out, it may in fact be the UAW who has the biggest hand in putting Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis out of business. I did not see that coming. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links at the pinned comment, see you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.